Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. It's good to be here on this blessed 15th day of October, getting our day started from the altar. Our booklet, 31 Days of Biblical Empowerment, is providing us seasoning in the alphabet of H. We've been able to move into H. And today we look at Jesus is our headstone. Headstone, y'all. Pastor Smokey in Norfolk is going to be our psalmist of the morning, and we bless the Lord for this synchronization. Get right where God needs to have us so that we can aspire to where God wants us to be. We've come to Friday. The weather, the temperature is up and down this weekend, and ooh, I'm wearing this hat right now because I washed my hair. I washed my hair in my shower this morning, and it's not quite where it should be in terms of temperature, and I'm susceptible. So I hope you will accept me with my hat on. So I thought I better put on my middle schools. My middle school. The middle school I attended was Virginia Union, the School of Theology, and I got the shirt on this morning and the hat. All so I can be deliberate. See, it's 6:03, y'all. It's 6:03. I'm just getting out of the shower good. So I want to be able to have a voice on Sunday morning because the temperature is supposed to go down again. It's supposed to go up into the 80s today and tomorrow. Then it goes down into the 60s. I need me some consistency. I need me some consistency. I guess since I'm talking about the headstone this morning, I had to put something on my head. So pray for me if you find it difficult to appreciate such precaution. But when you get about 6 to 8 or something, you need to make some arrangements and some concessions that you're not as young as you used to be, and you're susceptible to some things that are nature-wide at a disconvenience or non-convenience. But let me sensitize you to the headstone. But let's talk to him for a moment. Our Father, my God, my God, my God, my God, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who've trespassed against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, thine is the power, thine is the glory, forever and forever. Amen and amen. Psalm 118. Psalm 118, verses 22 and 23 captures it this way, and it says, "The stone which the builders refused or rejected is become the headstone of the corner. This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes." Headstone. Jesus is the headstone, cornerstone for some of the older older generations such as I have. I participated in several cornerstone layings in churches, and I'm grateful that I'm able to celebrate with those who place cornerstones in churches because the cornerstone has been placed in me. I guess that is one of the attributes or one of the glories of age and experience. It has been one of my very privileged when a leader leads his congregation or her congregation in paying off a building or in acquiring a building or in dedicating one, and part of the practice. I'm not sure if it's a practice now in many regions, but here in the Hampton Roads area, when such was done, or renovation takes place, and you note on the northeast corner of that facility, for historical purposes, of that building being lined in the prosperity of God, and thus the people are awarded with this great note on the northeast corner of that building, referencing the church or the ministry, and when it was set apart to do service in the Lord's kingdom. So this cornerstone, this headstone that is referred to in Psalm 118 becomes one of the notices, historic notices that is provided. And again, it says the stone which the builders refused or rejected is become the headstone or the cornerstone of that corner, the northeast corner. This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. So, in a real sense, when a cornerstone is placed in a church or a ministry's facility, it says that it is the church is alive and it is a living entity, and thus now it is memorialized under the historic prominence of that ministry, the gospel, that all that God has done in the past and what he shall do in the future, there's a foundation to it. There's a foundation to it. So here is a tribute to God and the stewardship of that people, that congregation, in establishing. Some buildings are noted by what is the caption on the outside in light. It lights up at night, or it mirrors the authenticity in the day based on the arrangement and ability that was given to the lighting system. But in the cases where I've served as an agent within the cornerstone laying, it becomes a memorial, and the building is just as much alive as the builders and as the ministry that is going on within that building. So since the stone which the builders refused is become, so he is the living memorial to all God has done in the past and is the foundation of all that shall be produced for future. He caps off his covering over our lives and the lives of those who've participated in the construction of that building to his name. And since he's covering, he covers every day. Our houses are covered. And when a family is able to come to a point where they can pay that mortgage off in their own homes, it becomes one of the greatest liberators that anyone can ever achieve within. And we celebrate how God has been able to liquidate or lead us to liquidate 300,000, 400,000, some $500,000 or more as a mortgage in your own homes. I think that is a great achievement, and it ought to be celebrated. Only the Lord could have such done, especially when you haven't been rich. You know, at one time, I lived with my mama. She and my dad had divorced, but our family was kept together by my mom. We lived with my grandmother and my granddaddy in their house, along with two other aunts and their children. So it was 15 of us in a 5-room house, and my dad would send a check home. He was in the Air Force then, an allotment check of about $110 a month for 4 children. Now, how far did that go? How far did that go? But we assisted my granddad because we were staying in his house. We assisted my granddad, who was a farmer. We assisted him in planting, in nurturing, and in gathering in the produce. Then periodically over the springtime, especially the summertime, we would get up about 4 o'clock in the morning, and after placing all of the produce in the back of this truck, we would make our journey toward, we had to ride a ferry. And at the end of the ferry, on the other side of the Elizabeth River, was what was called giant open air market. And farmers with their wares would bring corn and butter beans and cut salad and collard and mustard greens and string beans, tomatoes, watermelons, cantaloupes, and we would service those food chains right directly. They didn't have to wait until produce came over on barges or trucks. This was before that time. We serviced local grocers with the produce that we produced out of our fields. And that was the agriculture. That's how my granddad was able to pay off his house and then go to another neighborhood where mostly African Americans live. We call it Cavalier Manor. It still exists today. And bought his house, paid cash for it, and had a little something for grandmama and them to go down to Home home furniture and get some more furniture for the new home. Uh, Jesus is the headstone. That is part of the economy that many of us, the rural economy that many of us grew up on, and it still exists in certain pockets of the Hampton Roads community in the outlying areas such as Chuckatuck, Currituck, Suffolk, in Portsmouth areas, and it becomes a marvelous sight, a marvelous joy as well when you can take those greens. You can eat them as well at home, rudabakers, and and I'm dating myself, but I some of these bowls that folk eat now. Just check this. We used to raise chickens, so I have some chicken breasts right now that I picked up at the butcher, and there are butchers in this area where they bring some of their not only the produce, but they bring some of their animals, bring chickens themselves, and the butchers cut them up. I bought 20 a $20 pack of chicken breasts the other day. Came home, seasoned them, put them in the plastic sandwich bags, and put them in the freezer. And then the other day as well, I took a pack of the chicken breasts out, baked them, went to the grocery store where we keep these here because it becomes quite fanciful, and got what is a bag of Asian medley. I'm going old school this morning, y'all. Carrots, string beans, green peas, some broccoli. It was frozen. You throw it in the microwave and this is a this is a Bible study or devotional at the same time. Throw it in the microwave for about 6.5 minutes. Take them out. Put them on top of the chicken breast that you have cut up by now. You could throw some I love spinach. I lay the bed of chicken breast at the bottom. Put the spinach on top of the chicken breast that's been cut up. Then on top of that, I put tomatoes, cut up fresh tomatoes. Then on top of that, I put the contents of the Asian medley, and let it come cool off and go ahead on and simmer. Then I used that because I had to go out to an event. One of the pastors is becoming a bishop next month, so we had a panel discussion relative to him after being a pastor in a local church for about 35 years, and I was instrumental in helping them to plant that church and what have you. Now he's becoming a bishop. So we went over as part of the training session. In the sense, it was Bible study, and they turned it into a revival. So it was four of us pastors who aided and assisted in teaching and the transition that the church is about to go through. But before I went there, I went old school, and I ate some of that bowl, some of the fresh chicken, fresh spinach, fresh Asian medley. Well, Asian medley wasn't fresh. It was fresh when it was frozen. So I was able to thaw that out. I ate some of that before I went on over there to Newport News, which is about a 30-minute drive, and where we had fruit while we were over there afterwards for a little repast, and shot on back home. So that's part of my Bible's, not my Bible study, but the devotional for this morning. You can turn parcels of land into a benefit for you now. Get your house paid off with produce that has come from you growing it, and I am capped off by His covering over my life. the cornerstone, land is cornerstone. So here's another meditation. Medication. Because if you're gonna meditate, it ought to be something from the meditation that can medicate you as well. That dual appearance. So, but whosoever drinketh of the water, and we did have a well. We did have a well. Now the other side to that is, while we were at the teaching session, afterwards we had a little repast. Some of the water that was served to us night before last, 9.5. Oh, I can't think of now. I can't see it. I don't, because I didn't bring a bottle with me. This was non-preparation. That's non-preparation. I didn't plan to go this route, but I was able to drink some of that water. When we used to drink well water, that a well was dug, and we could drop the bucket down in the well and pull a gallon or more water up, and that's part of how I grew. But now with this pollution in Flint, Michigan, and what have you, that's not new. That there are ways in the 21st century that you can have that agrarian niche and get you some land where you can service your own family. We have growing grandchildren now, and one of them will be here. We turn our room that is over our garage. We turn that room into a classroom because we've had to teach in it. We've had to teach our grandchildren because we had to go virtual. We went virtual upstairs and connected to, right now I'm on Instagram, and I'm on my own webcam on the other side. So we have portals connected that now can connect to classrooms. My granddaughter, my oldest granddaughter, had to participate in that because one of the students that had gone to school was taken, and this has been the last 3 weeks. She had to escort some of the students to the nurse's office, and she contracted COVID, and the school had to go virtual because the school needed to be cleansed. And my granddaughter was back upstairs last week, still using that portal to stay up to date with her class in different sectors of the Hampton Roads community. Had to do that. Had to have that ability. So I'm urging folk right now. I don't know when we're going to fully come out of the pandemic, but there are ways that we can still do God's bidding from God's mind. God's mind has already seen ways that such can be done, and at the same time, keep an income coming in your house. Keep nutritional meals on your table, and advance so that your refrigerators, I started to call it an ice box, so that your refrigerators will be able to appropriate. I mean, they have these new air fryers and all of this. You got to get in position to take advantage of all of this because of the Headstone quality, the being agrarian, but still being up to date with some of the best kinds of suitability. We're about to put in a generator in the house now because we've had some power outages to go out. So our house is not only electric in the sense, but there's gas that is in our house. Our house is equipped for gas and for electricity. So generator man be here next week putting in our generator for the winter because we don't know. Climate has changed. So God has made this ability of versatility, to have the ability of versatility so that we will be able to still live within a house that was built in 1988 and still have the convenience of 2021 and eat food that is still nutritional for our households. So have that ability, move into that ability, and celebrate that. This has been I guess in a sense a commercial, but it's been a devotional that I've had to learn and appreciate myself for my dear wife of some 48 years, and we're going on to that 50th year. And my sons who are in their 40s, both in ministry. They're two of the ones, y'all, that have taken what they learned in college and now they're putting it into use for the 21st century. College graduates and what have you, and gaining that ability to be agrarian when it's necessary in the 21st century, but having the best of the uniqueness and all these new platforms that are rising, the TV screens and what have you. Y'all, it's here, and we better take advantage of it. The scriptures, but whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. And you don't have to worry about it being poisonous water. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water, springing up unto everlasting life. And I'm literally drinking well water, and literally and figuratively, I'm still drinking well water because the times call for it. And I believe one of the devotional transitional, in theology we call it making the hermeneutical move. When you take what has been printed and you can turn it into a transitional form for continued life and living in the 21st century. So we're responding to that in some very literal, and I guess I could also say there are some well qualities, WELL, some well qualities that can update you and your households and sustain your families in this transitional period that we are going through right now. I mean, 70 degrees now in the morning here, going up to 80. but then in the 80s, but then there's a wave of weather that is about to come, and the temperature is going to go down, more fall-like, while we are celebrating this summer-like continued weather. But there is a climate change. Folk don't believe it. Some folk don't believe it until it hits. And that's why I have to wear my hat today, because coming out of the shower this early in the morning, it's cool here. It's cool in the house. I haven't transitioned to turn the heat on in the house yet. So to protect myself from having a head cold, this is part of a very practical form of a Bible study. Or as our devotional, getting our 15th of October day started, and but there are still some things. Now let me share this with you. When I celebrate the Lord's Supper in the morning, there was a practice I learned from my uncle, who was a retired Army. He was in refrigeration and air conditioning during the summer while I was in college. His son and I were given a responsibility of insulating duct, whether ducts were run in the attics of persons' houses that were being built, putting in air conditioning units, or if their piping, their ducts were run under the house. The responsibility of myself and my cousin was to insulate the duct, so that during the winter, warm air would run through the ducts, but they had to be insulated. During the summer, cool air would run through it. And recently, I had to have a new air conditioning unit put in right at the beginning of summer. And one of the gentlemen who was about 80, he's about 89 years old. I'm not in that business. He was able to purchase me a unit, and he helped me. The other morning when I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning, he was here, and we put that unit in. The ducts have already been run, but to put the unit in, an updated unit, and then the generator is coming next week because of the power outages that may be coming forth in our area, because we're right on the East Coast, and all of these hurricanes and what have you. Climate has changed and is changing, and to be prepared, I mean, we want to be good stewards of what the Lord has provided us. I equate the bread from the Lord's table as insulation, in the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, in the name of the Holy Ghost. So when I eat this bread now, it takes on a new mission. It's not only spiritual, not only me celebrating the meal of our Lord and his sacrifice before he goes to Calvary, and what that means is that my respiratory system can now be insulated because that's where corona and its virus attacks us, in our respiratory system. So I've had my vaccinations, but in terms of my spiritual positioning, I've been in ministry since March 31st, 1974. So, I don't have any excuses for not preparing people. And then this cup, which is the New Testament in his blood, when I add his blood into my veins and my arteries, because that's literally where it goes, to go over the highway system, the internal highway system of my physical body. So since the bread is insulation, this cup becomes inspiration. It inspires me to keep right on keeping on. So I still wear my mask. I ain't got no problem with that. My little baby, my little grandbaby, who's a 10-year-old, we just buried one of her classmates who was uncovered. And she was taking fellow students back and forth to the nurse's office, but she contracted COVID herself. Her mother had taken the vaccine, but her dad not, and she was close to her dad. So he's broken. He is fully broken from him not taking it, but he has taken it now that his little baby, his little darling, has gone, and we've celebrated with the family in that regard. And in just week before last, we celebrated the homegoing of Sister Moss across the street, our neighbor. She was 103 years old. And on the 27th of this month, she would have been 104. So we celebrated with them in and out of their houses, but they celebrated their after funeral meal outside with their family, as well as part of the CDC prescription, that standard. So I have no problem in doing what I need to do as a spiritual leader at this necessary time that we are passing through now. It didn't mean to be this long, but I'm just enamored and raptured by the circumstances of our own household, our neighborhood, our children. Just these dynamics have just been hitting us, and we've had to adjust. I ain't getting in no argument with a whole lot of folk about should I not. Bam! I mean, should I be saved? Should I be a follower of the Lamb? That's I've been doing that since March 31st, 1974. So that's in me to do. I ain't in no argument with folk, but I'm in arrangement with an appropriated kind of standard that God gets the glory out of. And I share it with those who rise up this early and pray God's blessings upon you and your family, and look forward to the best days ahead for you. And let the meditation also provide medication for what ails you, for what you're going through, for where you're on your way to. And still able to inhale and exhale the blessings of our God, and to take care of our 19-month-old who will be here in the next 20 minutes. As Mama goes to work in the classroom, Dad goes to work at the radio station, and as we go on with our lives, taking care of them until they pick them up a little later on this evening. Now unto Him who is able to keep us from falling and to keep us as the apple of His eye in these days that we are going through, and an example of His will. Bless you, O Lord, and bless those under the sound of my voice who virtually now will be impacted by what you've given me to just pass on to them. In the name of the one who still lives and made this day so that we could have an opportunity to live. In the name of our Lord we pray. Amen and amen. God bless. Have a great day. And see you in the morning. See you in the morning. We'll be here Saturday morning. God bless.